like basketball. Basketball I like, but I'm not good at. Yes, I'm not.
Me too.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the State of the League podcast, the only NBA podcast that saves their emergency trade reaction podcast to be posted on the day they were going to post anyways. I'm your host, Jack, aka Jokic Joestar. With me, as always, is the world famous Pablo Escobar. Pablo, how are you doing today?
I'm supposed to be on computer. There were computer issues, but I'm indoors.
Hey, that's, a step in the right direction. You know, Pistons aren't going to win the title overnight. You gotta make the play-in first, all that stuff. So as long as you're building good habits, I think that's the important piece.
Speaking of the Pistons, I accidentally called AJ Griffin retiring early about a year ago because he was tweeting so much about the Rapture. I was like, why would he care about basketball? That ended up being true, and he's stepping away. Now I'm worried about Jaden Ivey. He's also a big-time Rapture's coming guy.
Damn. That'd be cool if we just had like an epidemic of that, where it's like cocaine took out a bunch of guys in the 80s, and then in the 2020s, it's like, I don't know, people just got super religious.
The greatest what ifs. He tore his ACL. He tore his Achilles. He heard the Rapture was coming in a dream.
Oh yeah, he fell victim to, what is it? It's Pascal's wager, where it's like, if you don't believe in God and God's real, then you're going to hell. But if you do believe in God and God's not real, then you're not losing anything.
Yeah.
Wow, I always love.
Let's fund vampire cages for everybody.
Ooh, I like that.
We need to put trillions of dollars into cages that have garlic in them. When a vampire comes in, slam shut, catches the vampire. Because worst case scenario, or best case scenario, we catch all the vampires. Worst case scenario, we just spend some money on cages and garlic. Everyone loves garlic.
Yeah, garlic is one of the most essential cooking ingredients. So it's like, oh no, we have too much garlic laying around now. What are you, a vampire?
Realistically, that would be used against homeless people. They would catch them and yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what they statistically 80% of vampires are homeless. So like, it's kind of, I mean, if you're a homeless person, you're pretty much asked to be getting locked in a cage full of garlic.
That's true. I wonder how. Oh, I should look up 4K Walking Through Transylvania. I've never actually seen Transylvania. I wonder what it's like.
I bet it looks typically Eastern European right now, if I had to guess.
I hope there's castles.
I mean, I'm sure there are, but like walking through Transylvania, I'm sure it's just like, I don't know, like typical apartment buildings and shit.
The 4K walking market is pretty oversaturated with Japan. If anyone's looking to get into it, we don't need any more Japan. There's 18 Rainy Night in Kyoto. We could use some more variety.
Rainy Night in I'm starting to think Sombor, I guess. There we could do one. Rainy Night in, that's literally the only Eastern European town I know. It's because of Jokic. You wanna tap in here?
I should do more Serbia, but Kaunas, Lithuania.
I saw. Obviously, I sent you that picture. It's media day today, everybody. So we'll probably just like interject with bullshit about that. But I saw a tweet that was like, somebody asked Arturas Karnisovas about the Bulls' top 10 protected pick, and he responded with an answer about them hosting a playoff series.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I saw that they asked him, like, are you focused on keeping that pick? And he's like, we're focused on competing.
Yeah. The way, because like he answers the questions in a way that, like, if you're coping, you could be like, well, what do you want him to say in these situations? But there are just like little moments where when he talked about competing, he talked about like not wanting to like destroy the purity of the game or something, or like this way he just said things that like he really believes it. You could tell, and it's like, oh shit, they're going for 40 wins, man.
He believes it because he's genuinely the dumbest person on earth. He's a literal caveman who has no clue. He's throwing out the same line that Garpax did. The Bulls can never say they're rebuilding. They're retooling. We have young guys. We're rebuilding on the fly while trying to compete. We're basically doing what the Thunder are doing, just without good players right now. But
yeah,
we're
we didn't
building
want the unfair advantage of having the player that the Thunder want on their team. So we're like, give us your bad player and we'll make it work, because that's what hard work and retooling is all about.
I might honestly, if Jerry Reinsdorf does die and he does sell the White Sox and keeps the Bulls in the family, I might become Che Guevara. I might have to start a militia.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
I might have to cause some problems.
Che Guevara became a guerrilla fighter, like freedom fighter, because he witnessed like a violent revolt or riot in the streets of wherever the fuck he grew up when he was a kid. I want to say Argentina. But your version of that is just like the 18th year of the Bulls, like narrowly the Bulls playing hopes coming down to like the last 7 games of the season.
It's like a you know Bernie Sanders' background, right? Why he got into politics?
Why?
Because when he was a kid in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Dodgers were there, and he was a super fan. And then they ended up moving them, and he was like, "This is billionaire greed. I hate these guys."
That's literally us. But instead of us being radicalized, we started a podcast, and so I think we're making a bigger impact on the world than Bernie Sanders. Is my point here.
I'm not kidding. I would bring out some medieval. Allegedly, I might bring out some medieval torture if I got a hold of the McCaskey family, which owns the Bears, and Jerry Reinsdorf. There would be issues.
Oh, I like it.
Allegedly.
Well, allegedly.
Does anyone have 4 horses I can rent?
To all run in the same direction. I have a stagecoach.
Yeah,
I need.
Of course.
Allegedly, we're talking about the Karl Anthony Towns Julius Randle trade today. So it's good that we got 7 minutes on the Bulls up top. And
I had to let some threats fly. I can't.
What were you gonna say?
No, I said I had to let some threats fly.
Oh, okay. Well, don't say any more then. I think 7 minutes of threats and implications. I think we're good on that front. I will say, first media day experience with Russell Westbrook. He had like a quote where he's like, "My last teams didn't use me right," or whatever. And like,
yeah,
like
every year.
Yeah, I will say it's just like instant thrust into the typhoon of like toxicity that surrounds Russell Westbrook, where I saw that quote get like 8 quote tweets that like, this guy should fucking die. I don't understand how teams keep employing this fucking guy. Like people, obviously he's got lots of fans, but the other end of the spectrum, people fucking hate Westbrook, dude.
Honestly, he's got historic levels of lack of self-awareness. Like what is the situation? And people will repeat it. They'll say he's not in the right situation. Like, but then ask him what the right situation is. There's no answers. Like
playing off Jokic. Duh. Come on.
People want him to literally have the ball 24/7. And like, but even sometimes like he still has the ball when he plays. But I don't know. It really is just cope to the max degree. You know what was the only right situation for him? When he was a center on offense at Houston, playing off James Harden. That was the right role, and that's about as good as he could get.
Nice. Small ball center. Small ball center.
On offense only.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of centers, speaking of small ball, I guess the Knicks kind of moved away from it with this move. Big trade went down a few days ago that I'm sure everybody listening has already formed an opinion on. And so this is nice because it lets you can get mad at our opinions. You don't have to listen to us to like figure out what to think. You could just be like, these guys are fucking idiots. Or alternatively, these guys know ball. So I also saw like a tweet earlier today that was like, this hasn't officially gone through yet. It's like technically still in the works, but I mean, I can't imagine it doesn't get done. What's the deal end up being? Randle, DiVincenzo, a lottery protected Detroit first rounder goes to Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns goes to New York, and Charlotte gets like salary stuff just like thrown in there.
Wait, so lottery protected Detroit pick for this year?
I believe that's what it is. Yeah. I don't know. Every time I've brought the pick up in like conversation as like an asset, I get like 8 comments being like, it's not fucking worth anything. You're an idiot. And so
Yeah,
I'm
if it is lottery protected this year, it is not going to convey.
yeah. So yeah. Where do you want to start with this trade? Like, what are you thinking about all this?
Well, I'll start with when I first got the news. I was pooping in a Walmart, and then I came out, and there were a few people in the Walmart bathroom. I was so excited. I said, "Do you guys watch the NBA?" And they just kind of they looked at me really blankly, and then I said there's just a big trade, Randle for Cat. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, oh that's crazy, that's cool," and they didn't really care. So, yeah, and then, but I'm glad we waited because my instant reactions would have been a little different.
Agreed.
As we've gotten more information, like one of the aspects is like, no, they're breaking up the Villanova boys, no. But then it comes out, it's like DiVincenzo was kind of mad. He was like, wait a second, the Mikal Bridges is going to take my minutes. I don't care about the Villanova thing. I'm NBA Vincenzo. I'm a champion. So
Yeah. I'm 8th guy in this rotation now after just like almost swinging a series to make the conference finals. So that's cool. Thanks everybody. Yeah, I agree. Just because I don't know. I'm not super high on Cat either, but like hearing Randall's name thrown around at all, it just like there's a very base level of chemistry in my brain where I'm just like bad basketball. Whoever got Randall, they lose. It's bad. Oh my god. But yeah, I definitely have more questions from Minnesota's perspective about this move. But compared to how I was feeling like night of, like the second I saw it, I was like, damn, New York kind of cooked. But now that I've sat with it a little bit more, you look at how much money Karl Anthony Towns is really going to be making in a couple of years. You look at the avenues that this opens up for Minnesota to like take different timelines with this roster as opposed to just being locked into like, hey, if we don't win the title in 3 years, we're fucked. That's it. So yeah, there's just, but looking at it from Minnesota's perspective, I have more questions, I think. Right off the bat, is this a bad trade for Minnesota? Because vibes, like if you're looking at how people reacted online, a lot of people were saying Minnesota either lost the trade or got fleeced. I don't feel quite that hardly about it.
So my first reaction was that they did lose because they thought it was like a 1-for-1 swap. I thought they thought like Randall is better for us right now than Karl Anthony Towns. But I don't think that was the rationale with the trade. I do think it's a salary move because Towns is under contract for a few more years, and then there would have been issues paying him and keeping Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander Walker, I believe. Yeah. And they would have to get rid of him or Gobert. Julius Randle has a player option for next year, or after next year, so he's probably going to be opting out to go to free agency. So really, this was kind of a salary dump and try and remain competitive. I do think it's a little weird to do in year 2. Or going into year 2, because you have year 1 of things finally going your way, and you finally have this young core that you feel like can compete, and people were talking about them like in the playoffs, this is one of the best defenses ever, and then you do end up losing badly, but still it is I guess we'll see if it's pulling the plug too early or if it's shrewd 4D chess, just getting off Towns now and then trying to, I don't know what kind of moves they'll be able to make. Like, will they be able to sign a different max player once Randall walks, or will it just be retention of those other guys?
I'm not sure. I think they'll have like, I don't know. Anytime like a team really sets out to make a max spot available, it feels like they could swing it financially. Um, I'm never like I never understand how it works, but it always just kind of like, oh, they can open this up so that they can throw the max like the Pacers at DeAndre Ayton or whoever back a
Ah,
few years ago. Um, and so, like, I don't know, Randall's what, 30 mil coming off the books? I figure if you combine that with like restructuring some other guys or getting rid of some guys, yeah, you could probably figure out how to open up a max slot. I'm not certain. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of my questions around this revolve around not just like what's going to happen with Randall, but what's going on in Randall's mind. Because like I don't always buy into the whole like the way the media frames basketball personalities as like, oh, are they going to be? This is two alphas. Are they going to be able to make this work? Shit like that. But like Randall specifically coming off a year where like yeah, shit started to click in the second half, but in the beginning of the year when like there was that big moment, Brunson had like 50 against the Bucks and Randall was like walking around with his head hung because he wasn't touching the ball in the big moments and shit. Uh, I think there's the potential for like more situations like that on this Wolves team. Not necessarily Randall not being able to handle those situations, but just like I'm sure there will be nights where Naz Reid is the better option to close the
mhm.
game. Like Naz Reid has like 27 going into the fourth quarter or something, and like Randall just doesn't get to play that much. Him, especially in a contract year, like playing to show other teams that he can be a part of a roster that like wins 50 plus games and makes a deep playoff run and everything. Uh, if he's not getting the amount of touches that he feels necessary to like prove his ability, is that something that's going to cause like a rift in the team?
It like he's just straight up not a good fit for this team. Like especially compared to Towns,
Mm-hmm.
because he's not that good of a shooter. So and Towns like that was the entire thing, like why it worked. So the I feel like this offense is going to be pretty clunky and
Yeah.
pretty clogged up down there. I remember when Gobert first got to Minnesota, Anthony Edwards was like, man, it's a lot harder to get to the rim with this big guy standing down there. And so obviously Randall can shoot, but like not, I don't know if he's a great like catch and shoot guy. I don't know what his percentages or what his percentage of volume is, but either way, he's very much a catch and let me cook guy. I'm gonna cook.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to work. And so and whenever he has the ball, he plays like a psychopath. I always talk to him. He's very much a basketball terrorist in a lot of ways. He's like I need it. There, everyone's counting on me. I need to make something happen in 5 seconds. If I don't, the world is gonna end. Maybe it'll change because maybe he'll like understand there's a hierarchy because I'm sure he was like, yeah, Jalen Brunson's a good sidekick for me. It's good that he's good now to be my sidekick. But I think
Yeah.
he'll probably know that it's Anthony Edwards' team and it's kind of the Anthony Edwards show. But really, their play styles are not conducive with each other. It's just gonna be like feels very much your turn, my turn. I don't know how well this is gonna
That barely
incorporate.
worked with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, and now we're doing
Yeah.
it with fucking Julius Rand. Yeah, I wrote down a list of pros that I really tried to think from Minnesota's perspective, like pure cope. Like me saying, Westbrook does a lot of stuff that Bruce Brown did back in the like that level of cope.
Well,
So
the
I'm looking
hometown media won't be putting pressure on it. So
exactly. He's out of LA. Um, so I wrote down, I think Randall worse individual player than Towns, but he is better at some things. I think individual shot creator in isolation. I like Julius Randle more than Karl Anthony Towns when you look at how, and this goes in conjunction with how much better Randall is at attacking mismatches. When you look at how Towns was like turning the ball over in really big moments all throughout the playoffs, especially with how his offensive fouls would like compound with his stupid fouls to just constantly have him in foul trouble. Uh, theoretically, that's a place that you could expect Randle to improve in. Definitely in the regular season. I think we'll get to like how we feel about everybody in the playoffs in a little bit here. So I think his on-ball shot creation and his on-ball like passing, facilitating, all that, it could lead to alleviating this huge on-ball offensive load that Anthony Edwards was burdened with all throughout last season. In terms of like them really gelling and like this offense getting into like phenomenal ball movement where everybody's just completely in sync with each other, I'm not going to hold my breath on that. But like, if Ant needs a break and someone else is going to cook, I think in those specific situations, Randle is better than Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I think I'm higher on Cat's on ball creation than you. I think I do genuinely think he's better than Randle still. I think he is also a basketball terrorist when he drives. The turnovers reflect that. But I do think he's better in the regular season at it than he is in the playoffs. And I do think he has like a legit post game. And then I think they're pretty comparable passers. Like Julius Randle's pretty good. And I think like in terms of the passes they can make, they're pretty good, but it's really the decision making that gets the best of them. So even in that respect, I would prefer Towns. But you know, I think what are the other areas that you think that you have Randle above him? Because honestly I'm thinking like what do I think Randle's better at?
That was it. I think isolation shot creation, the facilitating part of it, and then attacking mismatches. I feel like Randle's better at all three of those things. Defensively, as a rebounder, as a floor spacer, in terms of portability, and then also in terms of ceiling raising. Like that was one thing I saw when this went down, is like people coping the opposite direction, being like, well, Randle's a playoff dropper, but Cat's not that much better, quote unquote. There is no reason to believe that Randle is even inconsistently going to hit the heights that Karl Anthony Towns has hit in the playoffs. Like hot hand Cat over this past playoff run, like that's a legitimately great offensive player. And we have never seen Randle even be good in the playoffs. Like I know he's been hurt and everything, and that's why I don't think he's quite as bad as he's showcased. I think there's a chance he could be better than that. But like Towns has been good.
Yeah. Was it game 7 when he went crazy?
In game 7, especially, I think he ended up, his stat line was mid. It was like 23 on okay efficiency, but it all came in like the final 15 minutes of the game. It felt like it was, I think he literally had a 23-point second half in a game that was not like super explosive offensively. So yeah, he was huge in that one. And then he had a couple others. I mean, obviously Dallas series was disastrous. But yeah, like I feel like he straight up swung the Nuggets series. Like Anthony Edwards was better. He got it to a place where the X factors could take over, but Cat was the X factor that won him the series to me.
Yeah, so really I think like honestly, I do think this knocks them out of contention. If they were in the running this year for it, Minnesota, I it's just over for me. I'm like because Karl Towns' issues come when he has the ball, but he's like we talk about like the latent spacing and stuff, and even like on ball, I did like a lot of the stuff they did with him and Gobert, like running pick and rolls and stuff. That was cool. But yeah, like even when he was playing bad, he can make an impact without the ball. Like Randle is just it's got to go through him or there's not much going on. So yeah, I wonder, do you think he could do like let's say they match up with the Nuggets again. They had Towns guarding him on ball because he's stronger than Gobert and he could resist the back downs. Do you think Randle could do that? He's muscly, but he's like how many inches? He's like 6'8", 6'9"?
Yeah, he's like smaller than Naz Reid. And so
really,
yeah, like I don't, yeah, like he's buff, I guess, but I don't think Yeah, I think that completely removes that layer of this defense. And I don't know, maybe it helps in other areas. Like, it doesn't help with McDaniels not being able to guard Luka because it's not like DiVincenzo or Randle can do that. But yeah, I don't know. I would have felt way better going at Randle, Nas, and Gobert defensively than Towns. And shout out to Towns. I mean, when all of this came together for Minnesota, I like nobody believed in him defensively, myself included, and he stepped up his game in a way that like now him moving to New York, I even feel like maybe he's a bit underrated defensively.
Streets killed me. You know that?
I ran the streets since I was young. Streets killed me.
That's me saying I didn't believe in his defense either. Streets killed me.
That's so funny. Oh my god. The other pros I wrote down for this, the offensive low, blah blah blah. This move makes them an incredibly deep team.
The Knicks?
No, the Wolves. It makes the Knicks like a shallow team to me.
Oh yeah, they gave up. I keep forgetting DiVincenzo. I keep forgetting the Italian American.
Yeah,
he's in the Volga and Troy.
Hey, I'm in fucking Minnesota. Oh man, everybody's talking nasally at me.
I can't find a good Stromboli. What the hell?
Hey Ma, I'm in Minnesota. Send my coat. He's in like the wife beater, lifting weights outside in a blizzard.
I've been trying the Somali food. It's working out over. Okay. Hey.
Yeah, but really deep team. So assuming Anthony Edwards and Gobert are like locks to close games, it is insane that two of Randle, DiVincenzo, Conley, Naz Reid, and Jaden McDaniels. Two of those guys will have to sit on the bench to close games. And so like that, the backup unit regularly featuring two of Naz Reid, Julius Randle, McDaniels, Conley. It should be like one of the best bench units in the league, I feel like. Bill Simmons said, Bill Simmons, no, but on his pod, he made the point that like, this might be one of those things where the starters kind of mid, the starters check out, the game's tied. Maybe you're down 4 or whatever, but then you get to go like bench unit for bench unit, and they go up 6 points just because they're so much better than the other team's backups.
How much is left on DiVincenzo's contract?
I don't know. Let me yap real quick.
He might be the real gain from this trade. Also, it won't happen this year. Like Randle will definitely be the starter, whatever. But I do think there's a chance like Naz Reid is straight up better than him. Probably not volume stats wise, but just in terms of spacing and defense, like and just not blowing things up. I think that's a pretty realistic possibility. I wonder if they will. I don't. Yeah, he'll probably just stick the whole year through. I guess. Also, should we be worried about durability? How has he been beside this past? It's easy to be prisoner of the moment, and he was messed up this entire last year. Is Randle durable for the most part, or no?
I feel like he is off the top of my head. Yeah. So before this past season, he had only played less than 70 games one other time since his rookie year. So he's routinely 77, 72, 73 games. Yeah, I don't think it's like a foregone conclusion that he's going to miss 25 games or anything.
Okay. So they cooked with the durability.
DiVincenzo is under contract until 2026, 27. And it's a good deal. Good. $11 million. Yeah, like it's a good contract if he's the second best shooter in the NBA the way he was last year.
That's pretty good. I wonder, so what did they give up? Who did they trade? They got the Spurs pick for Dillingham, right? Or they traded to get the Spurs pick.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder if they knew that they were going to do this back then. I wonder if they could have done some kind of deal with him then.
I don't know. Apparently I saw a report that like this had been talked about all summer, which
all summer,
like
the 4th of July.
I know. People were at barbecues being like, we got to get Cat out of here. He's making 50. He's got a $60 million player option. Oh
with
my
the
God.
glizzy in hand, they said that.
Yeah. So the fuck was I just saying? Oh yeah, like I don't know. I think in terms of if they knew they were going to make this move, I think they've been trying to move him for a little while. If I had to guess, just like very low key. And do you think a better offer than this for Cat rolls around if they hold on to him?
Well, it's tough because you have to have the compete, like someone who you could still kind of compete with, or like sell that you're competing with. Like they could be like, hey, well, all NBA, was he all NBA third team the last year, the year before?
Uh, I think it was 2 years ago, but let me check.
All NBA Julius Randle. You
Oh
could be
yeah,
like,
NBA three, NBA third team last year.
yeah, so they could be like, hey, Towns didn't do that. So I wonder if there was someone out there who offers the same combination of expiring contract, still productive enough to sell to your fan base, and that you're competing. Um, yeah, I don't know. Is there anyone that you can think of off the dome?
No. I mean I've been of the camp for a while since I heard this news that like I think this is generally as good as you're going to get for Karl Anthony Towns unless like he is just on a fucking tear to start next season. I don't think his like obviously the end of the postseason was pretty disappointing, but I think overall obviously the Knicks are high enough on how he played in the playoffs to like make a move for him and feel good about it and everything. I think moving off a guy who is just good but objectively getting way too much money over the next 3 years, like money that if your star point guard isn't taking like $100 pay cut in Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns' contract is unsustainable for most competitive teams. So like moving that guy for a player we don't like, a player that has a lot of postseason flaws, but is like all star, all NBA, 20, 10, and 5 on fine efficiency, plus a great shooter, plus a first round pick that it won't convey, but like it'll get moved around. I'm sure they're not done making moves and they're not relying on that to be like a young player that they get to fit into their core. I think this is about as good as you're going to get for Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, so it is what it is. It just feels bad because it's kind of like it feels like the Nuggets letting KCP go. Like they're like, well, this year's not the most important year. We still got more years. But it's just disappointing because like Minnesota, this is the first, or last year was the first taste of actually being like a really good team.
Yeah.
And Edwards is finally popping off, and it just seems like a step back in the short term. So
yeah. So for the cons on that pros cons list, I wrote down Randle is worse than Cat. The front court fit feels clunky, even though this was pointed out. Randle hasn't played with a jump shooting center since like Anthony Davis. Like everyone they've put with him, from Nerlens Noel to Isaiah Hartenstein, has not spaced the floor at all. And I mean, outside of the fucking floater, shout out to Hartenstein, but still. And Randle's been like everything he's been in New York. He's been really, really good some seasons, and other seasons he's been like bad. But we have seen flashes where with a non-spacing center, he's still been like a viable player. So that eases my concerns on that front slightly. And then it also feels like they're kind of delving into Dallas territory with me, where with the Clay Thompson, Najee Marshall decision that they'll have to make eventually, it feels like you're splitting up your best lineup into a lineup that's really good offensively and a lineup that's really good defensively. It feels like Minnesota will probably be a worse team with a similar problem. Last year, it was pretty straightforward what their best lineup was going to be, but now they'll have a lot of different variations depending on what the situation needs. Sometimes that's a good problem to have, but other times, like if you're playing in a Western Conference, that's going to be a fucking bloodbath, and there'll be like 3 games separating the 1 seed and the 5 seed. Having to like iron out rotational issues for the first half of the season, that could be a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, I wonder how. I would imagine we wouldn't see it that much, the Randle and Naz Reid front courts, because how well. I feel like we didn't. There wasn't anything crazy with Towns and Naz Reid front courts. Like there wasn't any over the course of talking about that team. There was never like a stretch like, oh, Towns and Naz Reid front court has a 145 offensive rating in 90 possessions because Anthony Edwards just gets to the rim no matter what. It just seems the defensive untenability of that, of 2 guys who just in general aren't strong defense players and are just smaller. Yeah, it's just I just think it'd be tough to make that viable, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's tough. Randle in a contract year, blah blah blah. How do you feel about Randle in the playoffs? That's the last con I had for this. Is that like he's been garbage in every moment that we've seen from him, but I would say like the modern version of Randle we haven't really seen healthy in the playoffs. So I mean, what are your thoughts around him?
How do I feel? Seasick.
Seasick? Are you? Oh, he's rocking for all the audio listeners. We're on a
Yeah, I think when the ball's in his hands, it's kind of like Trae Young, because like whenever I watch Trae Young in the playoffs, because I'm so invested in my Trae Young agenda, I'm like, please don't pull up from 35. Please don't pull up from 35. With Julius Randle, it's just like,
don't pull up from 18. You know,
please slow down. Please relax. Please chill out. Genuinely, I don't like it. I don't feel good. I won't feel good when maybe he'll start cooking. Maybe the Anthony Edwards aura will save him.
Maybe.
But for the Wolves, not into it. Now for the Knicks, from the Knicks perspective.
You want to talk about it? I mean, I was just gonna say, from like Randle playoff, it's kind of like DeMarcus Cousins, where it's like all of the good feelings you have around this player about like what they could possibly be are because you're imagining like a different person inhabiting their body is really what it comes down to. Like you're imagining
Jamie Lee Curtis in there, like
yeah,
Freaky Friday.
Jamie Lee Curtis, oh my god, fucking post hooks with DeMarcus Cousins, just like kicking it out to shooters. That'd be ridiculous. But Boogie lives in there, and he's elbowing people and stuff. And so, yeah, I think a lot of like Randle displays a ton of tendencies that aren't good for the playoffs in terms of just like decision making and loving the mid range and all that shit. So I don't have. I mean, like nightmare scenario, the Wolves could get a series where like Anthony Edwards falls in love with the mid-range and Julius Randle does, and nobody's hitting them, and it's just like one of the worst offenses we've seen in a minute because they have no production on that end. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
You want to talk? All right.
But for Wolves fans, the opposite of what we say always happens. So
yeah, you guys should feel good about that. Like we recorded a podcast 3 hours before the Miami Heat beat the Boston Celtics in that playoff game last year, where they shot like 8. We literally said they would have to not miss a single 3-pointer. Done recording, post, and then they shot 85% from 3, and Tyler Hero had like a 30-point triple-double. So Wolves fans, you could rely on that.
It's like what are you going to do? Shoot me? And then you get shot. It's like, what are they going to do? Make every 3? They made every 3.
Yeah, man. Randle, what are you going to do? Lower your poor shot tendencies and only take efficient looks? Whoa!
Could be the time. 24. He was 2014 draft class. A decade of wisdom.
Oh my God. You want to talk about this from New York's perspective?
Yeah. We'll cook for these fucking New York fans. Hey, rise up!
I'm balling here. How do they stack up with Boston now? That's kind of the first place my mind goes.
Honestly, I'm. It's definitely more interesting now. It's closer. Just by virtue of just another good guy and another guy who presents similar problems that Porzingis does of dragging rim protectors out and can do a little more of that. And do you think who do you think is better? Right. Well, probably Porzingis right now when he's playing,
I mean, yeah, when he's playing, but
but he
I
just
have,
never played.
yeah, I have way more faith for Towns to play like 14 playoff games, especially. I mean, it's not like the Celtics need it. Porzingis playing is a luxury for them. But yeah, like if I was building a team where I needed my good players to play, yeah, I'd probably go Towns.
Yeah, the Porzingis probably is a better rim protector. But still, like, yeah, this just gives the Knicks. So what is the Knicks closing lineup going to be?
You figure it'll be Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns.
That's pretty sick. That's pretty
That's a
sick.
pretty good lineup. Yeah. Obviously the DiVincenzo loss, the floor spacing. Towns one of the best shooting bigs ever, but like shooting bigs is like this like category of just like worse shooters where it's like lower efficiency, less volume, but they're 7 feet tall, so it's cool. Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit clunkier, especially if you get like a Josh Hart regression postseason where instead of 45%, maybe he's 33% or
Yeah.
something, a little closer to how he plays. But Bridges, OG, Brunson, ton of faith in all of those guys to be like really high efficiency 3-point shooters. And then Towns is legitimately a very good floor spacer. So yeah, I think that lineup, it's good enough to compete with Boston's starting lineup, but Boston's bench is still pretty soundly better. And that's where the questions for this New York team kind of start to arise.
Yeah. So who do they have coming off the bench?
Deuce McBride is the big
Good.
name.
He's really good.
He's good. He's good. And his name, oh my God, he's goated. If he's not destined to be like a big game player in a playoff series for the Knicks, Deuce, I don't know who is. Then they have, I mean, it's like campaign after that. And they're shopping Mitchell Robinson around to every team that doesn't have a center right now. They're like, hey, this guy plays 40 games sometimes. And he's pretty good defensively. So the ones I saw, I don't even remember what the packages were, but like Pelicans, maybe you would hope to get like Jordan Hawkins back for him or something. I think the Grizzlies one I saw pissed me off because it was like Santi Aldama and Vince Williams for Mitchell Robinson, and I was like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. But that was only if Edey doesn't work out. And then the Jazz, Walker Kessler for Mitchell Robinson. I think in that one the Knicks were giving up a couple of picks to get Kessler as well, which I don't even know where they have picks coming from at this point, but it's probably an upgrade just in terms of durability and stuff.
Well, who have they sold their picks for? Did they give a pick for Anunoby?
They gave up like 6
for Mikal
in the Bridges trade.
Yeah.
And then they maybe gave up 1, but RJ was still pretty valuable in that, I feel like.
Wait, so who else did they lose from their bench? Is Bojan still there?
No, he was the salary in the Bridges trade.
Who was playing off their bench last year that's not there anymore? Because I could have sworn they were deeper last year.
Yeah, well, okay. You lose. Oh, Precious Achua, I haven't even mentioned. He's like a guy that will come off the bench for them, and he was pretty good.
Okay.
So you have Brunson, OG, Hart, DiVincenzo. You lose Hartenstein. You lose quickly. You don't have. I mean,
okay.
It's not like Quentin Grimes was there in the playoffs. Let me look. What was it in the playoffs?
Because Bojan was hurt as well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, Alec Burks.
That's
there, right?
yeah. Alec Burks, Mitchell Robinson. Their rotation in the playoffs was Hart, Brunson, OG, for 9 games. DiVincenzo, Hartenstein, Deuce McBride, Precious Achua, Alec Burks, and then you start getting into like guys who played 6 or 4 games. So yeah, they were really only running 7, 8 guys in the postseason. It's not like they were super deep. It's just that they accrued these injuries, and then were still really good in spite of it. That you're like, oh, this is a deep team if their guys were healthy.
Oh yeah, that was it. So yeah, the depth will be a little bit of concern against Boston, but yeah, this is a very interesting team. I do think they're up there with Boston, and then I would say like they're in the same tier as like Philadelphia.
I want them to play Philly in the playoffs again. That would be so fun with like the Karl Anthony Towns and Embiid dynamic thrown into all this shit, and Paul George trying to score on OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. That would be cool.
I wonder if you are a team that's like destined to face off against Joel Embiid, should you trade Mitchell Robinson? I guess in their perspective, they're like, it doesn't matter if he's not here, he's never here. But there's very few guys that big that can like even make Joel Embiid think. Like, is Walker Kessler gonna do that? I don't know.
I would say no, but it's just like the he'll be here thing for it all. Like he'll be like, we can get 6 fouls out of Kessler more consistently than we can get him out of like Mitchell Robinson on the bench or whatever. It's tough, but I mean, they're also not destined to match up with the Sixers again, because like if you avoid the Sixers in the first round, historically speaking, you can expect like a hobbled Embiid to wander into your arena, and then it's just like a different kind of matchup. And if we're looking at like the best teams in the East, I know Embiid just had a quote at Media Day today where he was like, no All-Star, no All-NBA shit this year. Like, I'm just going to be healthy heading into the postseason. That's the only priority. I don't think that's going to like prevent another freak injury or anything just with how he plays. But you'll have Boston, New York, Milwaukee, Philly, I expect to be like the top 4 teams record-wise. And so yeah, if you can avoid the first round pull with Philly, as long as Embiid doesn't go down and they're the 7th seed again, you should be okay.
First round matchup against Philadelphia, it's like walking up the platform to meet the legendary Pokemon like Dialga. It's like the music's playing and the rain's going. It's like, oh my god! And then second round matchup against Philadelphia, you're walking. It's like the day before, Paul George in a press conference was like, I don't know. I think I'm being worked too hard. I think the basketball's a little tough. I don't want to be shooting right now either. So
the weather in Philadelphia is really bad.
I still had PTSD from Kelly Oubre's bike crash, so I've been thinking about that. That's not a shot at Paul George saying he had mental health troubles in the bubble. Everyone struggles, but the rest of these are shots at Paul George. But I'm still Paul George pilled.
You're just being a dick to him for no reason.
I'm just making fun of him. Ever since the dirty work, I was like, no, Paul, come on. You can't do this.
Kelly Oubre had a really cringe thing at Media Day today.
Oh, I saw that.
He was like, I'm not answering any questions, so you guys vibe with me. And then he was like doing the and like no one, I could only watch like 15 seconds of it. I was like, I don't want to see this play out, but I can't assume they did like a Camp Rock style. It spreads throughout the crowd until everybody's Kelly, wow.
Pretty privilege. If anyone else did that, if Steve Blake did that, sexual harassment. Yep.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, so other stuff from the Knicks perspective.
Josh Hart on the short roll. This could be opened up. This could be pretty sick.
It could be, I guess. No one else to do the short roll. Yeah, I only wrote down outside of that. Can they handle paying Cat $120 million over the last 2 years of this contract?
Probably. I think, well, so... Wait, 120? Oh, wait, so is he going to be making 60 a year?
57 mil in the last like locked in season, and then he has a $61 million player option.
So I wonder he might opt out of that. I don't know. But
Yeah.
in today's current landscape, it does make that easier to swallow. But still, that's pretty rough. But I think I wouldn't expect a decline by that point, right?
Defensively, maybe, because he's not like positionally incredibly sound. Like a lot of the defensive plays I see him make are just by him being like an incredibly agile giant person. And so like if that were to take a step back, I think you
Yeah.
could see that regress on top of like I think with time, like all of the on ball stuff that I don't like with him is just going to get worse. I don't expect him to like develop an old man savvy game.
Mhm.
I think he'll just start like pushing off more.
I can't wait till Carl Anthony Towns is on a podcast saying, "Yeah, we used to be tough in this league. It was full of tough guys when I came in here. And then now everyone's soft
I was a rookie with Kevin Garnett. Can you believe that?
with Tibbs and Jimmy Butler was mean to me. They're not mean to you anymore. I liked when Jimmy Butler was mean to me."
Yeah, that's another thing. Is like the Tibbs aspect of all of this. Like I know Cat's a different player, and they've had several quotes already. It's like we made up. We're not angry anymore. But I think he could get angry again if Cat starts doing some stupid shit.
Yeah. But also another angle is Cat is a hometown boy. He's from New Jersey.
New Jersey. I know he's an Eagles fan. That's been yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So him and Mikal Bridges are both on the Knicks now.
Oh, is he? Oh, he must be. That. Wow.
Wow. Scumbag. City of Philadelphia. Disgusting. Oh my god.
Sirianni, fucking fire, babe.
Sirianni, idiot. Jalen Hurts, brainless bodybuilder. Jason Kelsey, political figurehead, holds no real power.
What's his position on China? Ask him at the
probably
booth. Ask him, Joe Buck.
You don't have the balls. You don't have the balls to ask the hard hitting questions that we would ask if we were in the booth. Yeah.
Oh, I almost dropped my water bottle.
Oh my god. So yeah, I mean, do you have any other thoughts from New York's perspective on this?
No.
No. Okay. I'll hit a little timestamp for him. We got a comment that was like it was like, hey, these podcasts are super inaccessible because they're so long and there's no timestamps. And I responded, I was like, hey, there are timestamps. Usually. I just haven't been doing them for the season previews because I'm lazy. So for that guy, timestamp this 52:27. Do you want to do this stupid? I didn't even fucking flesh this thing out that much, to be honest. It was just off like the shit I heard Bill Simmons say. Again, I heard Bill Simmons say he did have he called Karl Anthony Towns this guy was a problem social media post guy in like 10 or 15 years. Kind of like DeMarcus Cousins right now is a good example of this, where it's like, oh, 50 points, 24 rebounds, 11 assists. Holy shit, this guy was a problem. So I thought maybe we could just like name guys we think that could be in that realm that are active or recently retired even. I don't care.
Yeah, I got some names written down.
I think cream of the crop for this one in terms of active guys, one Zachary LaVine. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think but I think he's not number one. My number one is, I think Paul George will be the biggest benefactor of this, because I think he's like being thrown into like GOAT debates and like top 10 debates by these people like on the fringes. Because we saw Brandon Miller say, and who else said it recently that we were talking about?
There was a guy on a TikTok channel I saw where they asked him his top 10 and Paul George, but like that guy was just like not. I don't know if I'm not gonna call him stupid, but like he was panicking clearly.
But like it just, in terms of like he was a problem, like showing, like if you just show the clips of people doing stuff on a basketball court, Paul George can do every single thing humanly possible on a basketball court. So like, man, imagine, and they'll hit him with the Imagine if his leg never snapped. He would have been top 5.
The 6 best years of his career come after that. But whatever. Yeah, Paul George. I don't know. Most of the guys I wrote down, I tried to hit like an area of player where I'm like, I don't think they'll ever really contribute that much to like a super competitive team. And Paul George just like played his way out of that tier to me. Like he's too good for me to give him like a DeMarcus Cousins level comp where I'm like, because like the whole thing about Cat now is like in 15 years he will look sick. Like 35-point 3-point explosion playoff game. But like if you time travel back to now and you ask around, people will be like, he's good. I mean, he's fine, but like he just got traded for Julius Randle. He's not untouchable or anything.
Yeah, it's. Do you think he's better than DeMarcus Cousins was ever?
Yeah, I think so. We're like, it's kind of like Sabonis, right? It's like DeMarcus Cousins is like if Sabonis was way less efficient but had a jump shot. Where it's like theoretically in the perfect scenario, and if he was occupied by a different person and wasn't like picking up Rasheed Wallace level technical fouls, Boogie Cousins is like a floor raiser type guy.
He's like a Randall Towns fusion.
yeah, I was gonna say like he has stylistically a lot of similarities to Julius Randle. He's just 7 feet tall instead of 6'8". But I think Towns, like a team where DeMarcus Cousins is the second best player, are they ever going to be as good as like last year's Wolves team? I really don't know.
Well, the post All-Star break Pelicans,
they got better when he got hurt. That's all. They had like a 75 win percentage when DeMarcus Cousins went down. And that's not hate on him. He's cool.
That's hate. He doesn't get it. He's because you never played. So
yeah, that's what it is. I wouldn't get it. Yeah, my next one I did write down Sabonis on this list. But I
don't know. I don't think the highlights look that cool.
Yeah, that's why I hesitated, because you have to have an aesthetically pleasing game to get on here. And so like if Şengün never improves, he'll be like right in the middle of this group.
Al Jefferson's in there right now.
Al Jefferson, oh my god, scoring.
He had as many moves as Hakeem, maybe more.
40 points within like 5 feet of the basket, just like 8 fakes and then a layup. It's beautiful. That's real hoops. That's what I'm talking about.
I think no fouls drawn. I think he's a low free throw guy.
Well, it's because when he gets someone to bite in the air, the fake hooper thing to do is pump fake, get your defender to jump, and then draw a foul on them. You weenie. You contort your body around them so that you're like, I don't even need the free throws because I'm a bucket, baby. And then you miss the layup, but you get the rebound and you put it back.
That is a shame. That was a thing when I was a kid. And Derrick Rose was in his prime. It was like he's not screaming to draw the foul. He's trying to go around people, which it was very, very cool to watch, and it is ethical, but it's not as productive. So you kind of have to.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your next player?
A pretty obvious one, Cam Thomas. They'll say he was they'll show that week where he was dropping 50 every week or every game.
And he never got the right team around him.
Imagine if he was the real king of New York during that era.
Yeah, you guys remember 27 points per game, Cam Thomas, and then it's like the next year they brought in Ace Bailey and ruined everything for him. Oh my god.
Yeah, he'll be a big time one. Another big time one I didn't write down, I just thought of, is DeRozan. I feel like we'll get if he played 10 years earlier, he would be in the history books. But his game just wasn't suited for his era. He was born too late.
Born too late. The high ceiling Jahlil Okafor is DeRozan.
Jahlil Okafor was a problem. That's a national champion.
I wrote down. I wrote down Christian Wood for this one.
Ah,
That one's tougher because it's like this. Like Christian Wood, he'll get these for like a year after he retires or something. Where it's like, oh, Christian Wood on the Pistons, underrated, but it'll never be like Zach LaVine or something like Dunk's compilation being like he could have been it all. This was just like Christian Wood was a poor man's Anthony Davis or some shit.
for bigs, I was wondering if Chris Boucher could make it. Like, could he just be just a compilation of him blocking shots and making threes? Like, could they be like he was a problem? This and also like you know how he made it to the Raptors? He was like, he was at a tryout or something. He has like a 2K type storyline. I think he got recognized at a street ball tournament and then got a tryout or something. But yeah, long arms, crazy story. Shot blocking, 3-point, hometown Toronto kid. I could see it. I could see Chris Boucher was a problem. They should have let him cook more.
Chris Boucher has the advantage. You look like a way cooler defender if you're 6'8" with like long arms than you do if you're 7'2" and you just look like a proportional human being. And like Boucher has to like jump as high as he can and swing his arm as hard as he can to block shots, whereas Gobert or whoever is just kind of bumbling around down there.
He's just getting in guys' ways.
That Boucher. Do we think Hassan Whiteside ever breaks into this category?
Yeah, I feel like he's already dabbled in there a little bit. But yeah, the triple double with blocks, it'll live forever.
He tricked me. I thought Hassan Whiteside was so sick before I knew ball. I was like, this guy. He catches it when he blocks it, dude. He keeps it in bounds. That's value. That's literally value. Oh
and he was really good in 2K. That's a big part of it.
He was. If you can play with him, the Monte Ellis effect, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I have a couple guards left here. Yeah, Bradley Beal.
Yeah. I wonder how they will talk about him. Will they give him like the Carmelo treatment, like he chose money over winning? Or what? How will they talk about? Because he was really good for a time period.
Yeah, I feel like Beal. I feel like the money over winning thing happened like the second Melo signed contracts. Like when Melo was up for his extension with the Knicks or whatever. I feel like that was already the narrative in the moment. Was like, if he wants to compete, it's not going to be in New York. And then he took all that money and stuff. I feel like with Beal, we're at the lowest stock value we've been in a while. But even if we go back to like the peak of what Bradley Beal was when he was like the most respected, like 30 points per game, Bradley Beal, compare that to like 27 points per game, 50, 40, 90 Zach LaVine. I feel like the highest of the respect each player has gotten, LaVine clears.
What's like the past version of John Wall and Bradley Beal? Like what tandem is still brought up today that was like that?
Where it's like they were underrated.
Yeah, like people will be like, this backcourt was a problem. If only they had a center or something. Like they could have won it all.
Backcourt's tough because my mind immediately went to Darren Williams and Carlos Boozer, and then Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin. But there's no like the point guard shooting guard dynamic. It feels like you don't see that much.
I'm thinking like there was Iverson and Carmelo, but that's different too. And did Monte Ellis and Brandon Jennings overlap? But Beal and Ball are way better than they were.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
Who was the Baron Davis and who was on the We Believe Warriors?
In my mind, it's Steven Jackson, but I can't remember. That's 2007 or 2008?
7, I think.
Okay, let me see this.
Jason Richardson.
Oh, that might be it. Yeah. But like that's the thing is like I don't hear them talked about very much at all.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's Richardson and Baron Davis.
Yeah, I think John Wall will live on, like, because of the mixtape, and I wonder if Bradley Beal will be attached to that, and I wonder if we'll get any like how long will the Beal Westbrook tandem live on? Will people be like, man, they were a problem?
I don't know, because part of that is like this whole narrative of Westbrook like arriving and saving their season for the playoffs. Like Beal was there the whole time and they were dog shit, and then Westbrook comes up and he's averaging, don't look at the splits, this monster triple double, like 25, 11, and 12 or whatever. I don't know. I feel like Beal will find a way to live on. It's just tough because, like, I mean, if DeMarcus Cousins is like the golden standard of this, it doesn't feel like Beal necessarily has like the all NBA teams or this recognition as like the best in the league at his position, even for a very short amount of time, which he was never the best shooting guard in the league.
No.
Yeah, so it's just I don't know. It's a different kind of recognition, but I think Beal will stick around in our collective memories. Who do you got next?
I wonder, do you think there will be any Ish Smith legacy? Because so many podcasts say that he's the fastest guy in the league. I wonder if there's a different guy like back in the day. Well, I guess they didn't have podcasts, so they couldn't tell us. But yet, it's just one guy. Everyone, like all the players, universally recognized. Like the fastest players are De'Aaron Fox and Ish Smith. There's Derrick Rose and Ish Smith, Westbrook and Ish Smith.
Yeah. I think the problem with this is that like the he was a problem frame of remembrance, it almost exclusively comes through cool stat lines. And so Ish Smith doesn't necessarily have a bunch of those where like I'm sure you could go find like Ish Smith had 30 against the 2009 Warriors or whatever.
Let's guess over under Ish Smith career high.
I have it right here. What do you?
Oh, you see it? Okay. Is it like 34?
Is that what you want to set the over under at? Like 30, 33 and a half?
Okay, yeah, I'll go over.
It's 32.
Oh,
32 on January 4th, 2020. So like a few days before Mr. Hayward's career high. Damn,
no,
he did
2020, so it's the year before.
He did it I remember this game. He did it against the Nuggets, dude. He torched us. Oh my god. Yeah, it was when he was with the Wizards. 32 points, 63% from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, and 1 of 2 at the free throw line. So strictly buckets.
If the pandemic didn't shut down the league, Ish Smith would have ran things that year.
Oh my god, it would have been so sick. 3 of his 4 career highs are in that 2020 season with
new
Wizards.
Narrative. Yeah.
Yeah, he had. Let me see. I can't fucking read spreadsheets anymore.
And is that with Westbrook and Beal?
I literally think it might be.
That could be epic.
No, because wasn't Westbrook playing in the Rockets playoffs for that?
Oh, in the bubble?
Yeah. I think that's what it must have been. So yeah, that was the year before. Hornets legend, similarly. I wrote down Kemba Walker for this. I feel like we're already starting to get a little bit of it. But he also just retired. So I think like give it 2 years. And if you check in like late August, early September, and you're looking at like NBA Twitter, then we might start seeing like Kemba Walker, 44 points against Boston or whatever.
Yeah, he'll be like Nick Van Exel. Like the Nick Van Exel mix always makes the rounds. And so so will Kemba probably.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. You got anyone else?
I wonder if there will be any Seth Curry, and they'll show like his individual cooking from the Hawks series. And they'll be like Seth Curry. He wasn't just Steph's brother. He was elite.
I hope. Yeah, I loved that Hawks series so much. Like, because that was one of the first times I remember being like every single night I was going into the game and I would be like, okay, the Sixers they have no chance because Seth Curry's not going to do that again. And then like every game, he's like 25. I missed one jump shot. Yeah, he was a fucking psycho in that. So I think just the Hawks series, yeah. You could start pushing that. This guy was a problem. He just needed more freedom. Teams would never give him the ball.
Imagine if the Warriors kept him.
Oh my God, the brotherly backcourt. Holy shit. The Splash Man of the Year campaign. He could be coming off the bench.
The real Splash brother.
Fuck. I just had one. Is there a player, Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris? Is there room for any like rose-colored glasses reminiscing on these guys?
Tim Hardaway Jr., I think, will live on more. Tobias Harris, I don't know. Maybe from his Clippers season, but there's not that many Clippers fans, so that'll be an issue with it too.
Yeah. What's Tim Hardaway Jr.'s career high? Let me see this.
Could we get a Dennis Rodmanification of Jared Vanderbilt?
Oh man, I think if he just like cracks the Lakers rotation this year again, I feel like there are already moments that you have with him where it's like, holy shit, he's got 15 boards. It's the third quarter. But he doesn't like. It doesn't feel like you have as many clips of Vanderbilt like throwing himself into chairs and shit, which like I just got a Rodman edit on my timeline today, and that's like 80% of what it is. Is like him just like doing a somersault into the fans or something, trying to get the ball. Doesn't feel like we have quite enough tape on Vanderbilt for that front. And yeah. Other than that, like I don't think the Lakers' tenure was quite enough. But you're on the right spot. Like Lakers role player that the people can collectively reminisce on. That's like an untapped vein here. Like
D'Lo, Hachimura.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there was this with Caruso for a second or two.
Yeah, and they did too much with Caruso that everyone else didn't realize he was actually good. Like they're like, yeah, Lakers types. Like, no, this one's different.
they're like, we used to have so many good role players.
Is the boy who cried wolf.
We used to have Taylor Horton Tucker. We used to have Alex Caruso. Those are not the same. Don't put them together, man, because now everybody's lost. Oh man, Tim Hardaway Jr.'s career high is 42. By the way, he's got
epic.
He's got 2 40 pieces, and then he's got like 7, 8 games over 35 points. So real microwave scorer. I feel like that's a good descriptor for the he was a problem crowd. Microwave scorer.
Yeah, that's like the key template of it.
Oh, brother.
You know what one we'll get, I bet, is if that stupid woman didn't ruin Miles Bridges' career. This is what he was doing, and they'll show all his dunks.
I have faith that humanity will not go that direction. That would make me so sad. That fucking bitch. Oh my God.
I think they'll do that with Deshaun Watson.
Maybe, but he's garbage. That's the problem. Yeah. He's terrible.
Yeah, it's crazy how bad he is.
Yeah. I'm hoping for that season from Miles Bridges. That'd be cool. Because like people always say, "Oh, if you're a bad person, I hope you get hurt." If you're a bad person, I hope you prove that you're like beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're terrible at the thing that you're trying to do.
I hope you have to live with you have to grasp with the mortality of your bounce. And I hope you go up to jump one day and it doesn't go quite as high. And you're like, oh no.
I used to windmill no problem. And now I'm barely East Bang. This is insane.
I hope you're sore getting out of bed. I remember Zach LaVine talked about that one time. He's like, yeah, back then I could just get out of bed and dunk. Now I gotta like stretch.
Okay, cool. Meanwhile, if I cross the street, if the crosswalk sign starts to blink, I like pull a muscle in my back. Oh man! All right, it's what, hour 15. You guys will be fine. This is more than enough. Sorry, it's not a season preview. We got lazy. I forgot to schedule a guest for this episode, but we have one on Wednesday. So
Big one,
a big one,
fan favorite.
Yeah, friend of the program, Nick Van Exel. Nick the Quick. He's hard to record because he's like just running all over.
I thought you were going to take it away, pal, right there.
No, I don't give a... Okay. Pau Gasol, are you there? Pal? It's me, Margaret. Take it away.
Lay down a list of what